Hello, guys. Welcome back to the Uncensored Critic podcast. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. It means the world to me. Thank you very, very much. Today, we welcome along another member of the GSA family. God, we could call this a GSA podcast at this rate, by the name of Sam Haughton. Is it Haughton? Is that right?
Haughton, but I've
Haughton.
been called
Sorry.
worse, so it's all fine. No, you're good.
Yeah, it's a common theme on here. I always mispronounce people's names. Haughton. I'm going to write that down. Haughton. Okay, so let's take a moment to introduce Sam Haughton and his work. So Sam's journey started at the Hackett-Kyne, is that right? Hackett-Kyne Academy?
Where did you? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Well done. This is
Yeah.
really far back. Okay, I'm fascinated to see what you say.
Yeah.
Yes,
Dude, it's on your website.
it is. I need to make sure I know who's looking at it. No, yes, that was
It's all innocent. Yeah, did I say that right? Hackett-Kyne, right?
Hackett-Kyne. Yeah, many
Okay,
years ago.
Hackett-Kyne Academy of Irish Dancing, and
Mm.
inspired from a overused VHS copy of Riverdance, which prominent in his household when he was younger. As I say, he's a graduate from GSA. He graduated in 2012 with a BA in musical theatre, and parts there included Mr. Shadrock in Billy. I'm going to mispronounce some of these character names.
You're good.
Aegisthus in Oresteia. Egeon in Comedy of Errors, and Captain Cook slash Dr. Chambers in Robert and Elizabeth. And out in the business, his credits include Ibsen's Ladyfinger at the Barons Court Theatre, Songs for the Shower at the Guildford Fringe, Singing in the Rain, Wind in the Willows, a Scandinavian tour of Greece, Spamalot at the English Theatre Frankfurt, and School of Rock, tours of the UK and Korea, and another show called Wish List, which was in partnership with the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and most recently Phantom of the Opera, where he understudied Monsieur André and was predominantly part of the ensemble in the West End at His Majesty's Theatre. Sam is also a skilled performing coach, offering lessons in acting and voice work, which he also runs with Lucinda Allen, and he also runs a Zoom and Patreon community called the Super Power Hour with the great Mildred Ewan, who's also been on here as well. To get in touch and know more about his work, check out his website and Instagram, both of which are down below in the description. So, in the meantime, Sam, welcome.
Thank you. That sounds so good when you say it all in one hit. That was wonderful. Thank you so much.
Oh, no, it's all you, mate. It's all you. It's all your work, man. It's what you've done. So, yeah. So, we start at the beginning with every guest. So, in your case, Sam, where did it come from? The love of acting, singing, musical theatre, being in this business. Where did it come from?
So I'm really fortunate that I grew up in a family that kind of was really well rounded. Like kind of anything. I know this is really privileged, but like my memory is anything that me and my brother were interested in was accessible to us. My earliest theatre memory is really through the VHS of My Fair Lady,
Hmm.
starring Audrey Hepburn and Rex Harrison.
Nice.
My grandma had it, and me and my cousins would just gather around it, and I just remember just being beautiful and stunning, and these people would sing. And then there were more films that came, like I remember watching Carousel and Seven Brides for Seven Brothers and Oklahoma, kind of all those classics. I grew up in Dartford, so we weren't that far from the Orchard Theatre, and mum and dad very kindly take us along to pantomimes and tours. I remember the Joseph tour being quite an early memory.
Yeah.
I want to say a Starlight Express tour, but I might have misremembered that. Um, the Sooty show, like, the theater was a place that me and my family were comfortable, and we were brought up going to it. Yeah, so kind of that was really the start, and then you touched on my early years of Irish dancing, which I say early years. I did it for a really long time. I did it from like the age of 6 to 16.
Wow.
Um, I went Riverdance was a big favorite. Like you say, we wore out that VHS, and again, me and my cousins would reenact it in the living room many times. Um, and yeah, and one time I think I went to my parents and said I wanted to start dancing, and they thought Irish dance would be a good fit. And it was great. And actually, it did going end gaming it. It did set me up really well for tap. It's a similar language, just a bit more feet turned in as opposed to turned out. Um, yeah, so I had many fun years doing that. Then my brother was the first one. I don't know how he got into it, but we had a lot of like Amdram community theatre societies kind of around us growing up. So he appeared in a couple of their productions. Um, as I was going along, I'd picked up drama classes and school shows and that kind of stuff. And mum and dad thought I might enjoy doing outside societies as well. So I joined a couple of those. and that took me all the way up. Like that was my life alongside school, alongside Latin and ballroom dancing, and any hobby that I could pick up there that interested me. That was me up until like the age of 16, 17. I was doing a show, funny enough, with a girl. I had dinner with her a couple of weeks ago. Um, were we doing a show together? We were doing a show together. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And she was applying for drama schools. I'll name her. Her name is Jenny Thompson. She's still a very good friend. She was a little bit older than me, so she was applying for drama schools. Um, and so to be able to watch that process and realize that's a thing you can do was illuminating. My mum was a primary school teacher. My dad was a policeman. This isn't their world particularly.
Yeah.
Um, and so Jenny kind of really showed me that process as she was going through it herself, so that when it came my turn a year or two after her, I was equipped to do the same. I applied for Mount View, Arts Ed, and GSA, and got accepted to GSA, and off I went and got my degree.
Nice. Yeah. So how were those years at GSA? Those 3 years?
Wild,
Yeah.
absolutely wild. On reflection, so I went to drama school straight after A levels at 18.
Hmm.
And I'm a big believer, everything for a reason, everything is timing for a reason. I don't regret going when I did, but looking back, I see the benefit in waiting a little bit longer. Um, I feel like I was quite young. It's a lot of information to take on, as well as living away from home for the first time by myself. Um, Having to learn to get, like, I remember living off of pre-cooked meat and couscous. That was kind of my staple. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, like that. It was a lot, but it was amazing. I learned so much. I continue to learn and observe lessons that I learned over those years now. Um, some of the teachers continue to be incredible supports to me now. Yeah, it was an incredible experience, and I definitely wouldn't be where I am now. I wouldn't have. I don't know. I like to steer clear of the word achieved, but I wouldn't have done the things that I've done, and had the experiences that I have had if it wasn't for my time at GSA. Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you ever have I think he's still there now. Were you ever taught by Ian Ricketts?
I adore him. I wrote to him. I still have. He gave us a stack of papers. For people listening who don't know who Ian Ricketts is, you really should, because he's an
He's a
absolute legend and
legend, like absolutely
teaches
legend.
not just, yeah, but when he's teaching, doesn't just teach about acting. Like he taught me about being a human, and he taught me about life. Um, which actually, I suppose, on reflection, that was great to have that in, as a younger me. Um, I found he gave us, he used to do, I think it was a thought for the day, and he gave us a wad of papers, which was his thoughts for the day, and I found those the other day. I reached out to him over lockdown. Lockdown, wasn't great for anyone, but
Mm.
provided a lot of time, and I wrote to him, and he wrote back, and it was a really touching exchange. Um, yeah, an absolutely incredible human that I'm very privileged to have met and spent time with.
Yeah, I was never taught by him, unfortunately, but I heard a story. Now, I don't know if this is true or not, but I heard. I think it's probably. Anyway, look, this is what I heard anyway. So if anyone who's listening to this had this experience, please do let me know. I heard that he started off a lesson once. This gives you an idea of kind of the mystery behind him and stuff. He's just an incredible man. But he walked into a classroom one day, into one of the studios, with a cane, one of the canes that you used to help yourself to walk with and stuff. And at the tip of his cane was, like, what you would expect to be there. And apparently he picked up this cane and started, like, wafting it around the room, and he started going, "Things in life, you just never know when surprises, well," and he pulls out a knife from the top of his cane and goes, "Will jump out at you." And everyone in the room just went, "Holy fuck, who is this guy?" And I just thought that was brilliant. I mean, what a way to, like, immerse yourself into that. I mean, if that was your first lesson in
That
drama
sounds
school.
like Ian. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He would demonstrate these lessons in the most brilliant way, and it wasn't always trying to catch you out. Sometimes it was really nurturing. It was, the art of how to take a good nap in between classes. Like,
Really?
yeah, yeah. There's a very specific position. If you lie on your back and put your feet up at 90-degree angle on a chair, it just makes the maximum amount of your spine keep in contact with the floor. And that's supposed to be really good for grounding you and allowing you to take a good nap in between classes. And it gets you off to sleep quite quickly. That's what we were taught. I find it tricky to sleep in that position, but every now and then I do think, oh, shall I put my feet up while I'm having this nap?
Yeah, I can't say I've
Yeah.
done that. Can't say I've done that.
But an incredible, incredible man.
Yeah, yeah. I must shout out quickly. We were talking before we came on about just geek out for GSA just for a little bit, but Chris Palmer is
Yeah.
just an incredible teacher. She's also Chris has also been on here. She's got another book coming out soon, so more on that to follow in the future. But I
That's
remember
right, Chris, we were talking all about you.
yes, but we were praising you very, very highly, which we always will, and we always will do that. But I remember there was one time where, Chris's lessons like about the voice and doing some Tai Chi, and then really quite intense stuff and like with the voice and everything. And then I remember there was one lesson she went, okay, we're going to do some. Well, we're not going to do some yoga. No, it's not. It wasn't yoga. I said, right, I'm going to shut the curtains. I'm going to turn all the lights off. I'm going to play some nice meditation music like sea waves lapping against the shore, and I just want all of you just to lie down on the floor and just take in the silence, just take it all in. And then you just lay there, and it was like a nice solemn break from the intensity of drama school, and it's just reminding
Yeah.
yourself to be present and just be there in the moment. And I remember a guy next to me fell asleep, and
Love
which
it.
which happened, which just, by the way, anyone who thinks that, oh God, you can't do that at drama school, yes you can. It happened on, I heard many stories that people were falling asleep during classes and stuff like that, especially when you're doing yoga as well, and
Yeah.
then suddenly there's a break from the intensity, your body goes, oh, right, it's a bit of time out, and then
Yeah.
2 minutes later someone's going, wake up, and
Yeah, but like we say, it's like it is intense, and so sometimes your body's just screaming out for it. Ian's classes was the one that I usually fell asleep in, not to make a habit out of it. I just remember one time in particular, I was just so exhausted and head down, and he was always like, "I'm so sorry, Ian." He was he was like, "I'm glad you felt comfortable that you could," and I was like, "That's really nice. That's nice. That's a nice spin on it instead of feeling disrespected or." Feeling
yeah.
like I wasn't paying attention or anything like that. It was, I'm glad you felt comfortable in this environment that you could take the rest you needed.
Yeah, yeah, and I can't think of one teacher who didn't make you feel like you couldn't do something or made you feel uneasy in
Yeah,
any way. Everyone there was so supportive. They pushed you, of course they did. It was their job. You don't push, you don't get pushed, you don't get better. And I thank them for that. But but even when it was like tough days, they would just be like, okay, let's just take a moment. Let's take
yeah,
5 minutes. Let's just take five. Go have some air. Go grab a coffee. Just come back and then come back in the room. Then we'll go again. So
yeah.
yeah, and I love that. I love that sense of care, especially. Cool. So just backtracking just a little bit before we get on to your early work. So your 10 years of Irish dancing. I've got to get that.
Yeah,
How was that?
great. Hackett-Kyne Academy was I don't think it. I think it still goes under Hackett-Kyne. Back in my day, so it's Tara Hackett and Natalie Kyne. Those are the two teachers. When I first started, it was just Tara Hackett. She used to teach us in like her mum's living room, and that school has grown and is now this huge thing, and it's incredible. And so I think there's things about back in my day being a boy exploring these things was not the norm, and there weren't the wonderful open conversations that we have now.
Mm,
Um, and so any space that was open to me to explore the arts, the performing arts, and was welcoming of me was great and so encouraging and so nurturing. There's a wonderful social media post that goes around quite periodically about it kind of talks to the dancer who didn't dance or something like that. I can't remember, but it basically speaks to the lessons that you learn in a dance class that are not just about dancing. Like they're about managing social skills. They're about making mistakes, applying corrections. They're about keeping going when sometimes you're really tired. When we got to competition level, it was about losing and how to lose and it be okay, and and then winning and how to celebrate a win and that kind of stuff. How to support each other. There's all these lessons that we learn are not just industry specific. They definitely speak to the wider world. And so I had a wonderful 10 years and changed a lot as a human during those 10 years. Skip forward to now, I have a wonderful Irish fiance, and his family love the fact that I used to Irish dance. My parents are like, "This was the beginning; it was paving the way for you to meet Liam," you know. Um, but those 10 years were just wonderful, and I look back on them with tremendous fondness. Absolutely.
Yeah, I remember there was one song. There's an album, Riverdale. I mean, it was oh bloody hell, what was it called? I mean, it wasn't Michael Flatley. It was somebody else. But I won't take too much time looking for it. But I remember just I think the track was called Riverdance, and it's just it's stunning. It's
The main song.
absolutely stunning.
We randomly, because my family is wonderful, like me and my brother would both be able to pick a CD. Now I'm aging myself. On long car drives for holidays, we would both
Yeah,
be able to pick a CD, and it would go through. But
yeah,
I have vivid memories of us like driving through mountains in the Lake District, but the scenery, really picturesque, stunning scenery,
yeah.
blasting the Riverdance soundtrack, and it
Brilliant.
being just a really epic experience.
Love it.
Yeah, that music is incredible.
Oh,
It stirs the soul.
it really does, yeah. No, I was lucky enough, well, as part of my degree at Sussex in my third year, I had a placement to do, and I was lucky enough to get a placement at the National for 3 weeks, and
Wow.
yeah, it was an amazing experience. And I got to sit in on rehearsals for a play called My Country, A Work in Progress, which was it was a verbatim piece that was in response to the referendum vote of 2016 when Brexit happened, and
Right.
so the now previous artistic director Rufus Norris sent people out to all corners of the country. If anyone doesn't know, verbatim theatre is when the script is made up entirely of people's interviews. There's not a single word that's edited or made up. It's everything that has been said from an actual account from another person, which is fascinating theatre. I really love it. And he sent people out to every corner, and we got people from Derry, from Londonderry, from the Midlands, from Scotland, from London, everywhere. And then remember one specific section with the Irish, they played like a melody of songs which encapsulated each area. And of course, the Irish one was Riverdance, and it was led by a fantastic actor called Cavan and Cavan Clark, if anyone knows of him. And I just remember hearing this music for the first time in rehearsals and thinking, "What is this? This is stunning. What is this music?" And I looked up and it was the River Dance, and I thought, "Yeah." And then there's all this stuff here. Can you still do it now? Do you think if someone goes River Dance now, go? Can you still do it?
There's a language there. It's rusty. I taught. We'll get onto this, but my first year at Phantom, I taught the ballet girls used to do not just the ballet girls, the ballet ensemble. There are two boys and they're wonderful. They used to do their own kind of separate warm up that was a bit more intense dance wise. And
Yeah,
on Saturday they'd kind of have they'd learn a routine or whatever. And one St. Patrick's Day I taught them a very short routine. So
nice.
that was kind of like a nice revisiting for me. So yeah, there is a language there I can do something, but definitely like I'm not auditioning for Riverdance anytime soon. That ship has sailed and that's okay.
Yeah, it's more like party tricks and stuff now, isn't
Yeah, yeah.
it? No, but did you ever get like the sound guy? Because I know they in theaters like in the West End they have like the sound desk like right at the back of the stalls. Did you
Yeah.
ever like shout out to him during the warm up? So can you play River Dance, mate?
No. No, there were other requests. It was usually Steps. Steps is a good warm-up song for
Oh,
me. I'm like, come
steps.
on,
Yes, yes,
hit me
yes.
with some cheesy pop.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, Riverdance, less to get you in the mood for a two-show day, but yeah,
exactly. Yeah, but I suppose yeah. Let's talk about Phantom then. Let's jump into that. So
sure.
I remember it just an image there sort of popped into my head, like you guys get doing steps or some like you say cheesy pop music, especially on a Saturday as well when you got two shows. I mean,
Yeah.
and like I mean, what's it like? Just quickly, what's it like after a two-show day, like full on Phantom musical theatre, London, and you walk out the stage door after a two-show day, you're just like, oh, thank God for that.
A
Just like,
little bit,
yeah,
yeah. Two-show days were never my favorite. Like
yeah,
it's particularly there's something about doing Phantom. It's quite an intense show. There's a lot of the notes you get are about keeping the stakes high and keeping the intensity that show requires. Um, and so you are pretty tired at the end of it. Um, but it's such a loved show. And you talk about walking out the stage door. There were always people waiting at stage
mm,
door. Um, some really, really committed fans. Um, and that was always a nice reminder of, oh yeah, people really care about this story still. People still
Yes.
care about this piece of theatre. People still want to hear this. They need to hear this. Um, so that was always a good reminder of kind of the why you do it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but no, Phantom was incredible. Phantom was a really wonderful 2 years that I'm very grateful to have been a part of that show.
Mm.
One of my friends asked me, they kind of said, "Would you do it again in the future?" I was like, "Yes, if that comes around in whatever capacity, absolutely." Yeah, it was an incredible experience.
Yeah. Because, also, like, quick shout out to you were there with another GSA alumni, Eve Shano Wilson, who was.
Eve.
Yeah, big shout out to Eve. She I remember the day when she got Christine. We were in the building in Guildford at the time, and and I think she worked her way up to be like Christine, like 8 shows a week. I think towards the end. I think.
She was alternate by the time I left. So what when six? So no. Here's some Phantom trivia. So the Christines don't really do all eight. There's a six show Christine, and then there's the alternate who does two.
Ah,
When the and if someone's calling in, I think there's a cut-off point for the alternate Christine, but she essentially serves as the first cover up to a point, up to a time. I think it's like up until 4 or something like that.
mhm.
And then of course the alternate doesn't have to be, once all the other covers are trained up and ready to go, the alternate doesn't have to be in the building all the time unless she's called. But then when six shows Christine goes on holiday, alternate moves up to 6 shows. First cover will then do the 2 that the alternate doesn't.
Ah,
So they do a lot of switching around. They do, yeah. And so my understanding is Eve was second cover before I joined, was first cover when I came in, and then my second year became the alternate, and then, like I say, would do 6 shows when it was Lily, the wonderful Lily Cohoas was 6 show Christine for the 2 years I was there, and so when she didn't, then Stephen would. We call Eve Steve. I don't know why, it just became a thing. So Steve and Eve are the same person to me. Hi, Steve.
yeah, hi Steve. Yeah. So Eva, if you want to just clarify that, just put it in the comments below. We'll find out why. But but that's that's good actually, because if you think about it, Christine's such a hugely demanding role physically as well as vocally as well. It's you can't do that 8 times a week. You come off stage and be like,
Absolutely broken. And emotionally, this was a thing I spoke about a lot with Colleen, who, am I right in saying started off as second? Started off as second couple with me when I joined. To this track became first and has now, since I left, has become the alternate. I think that tracks. We would have this conversation about Christine's tricky. Like she doesn't get a lot of time off stage to like chat to the rest of the cast and kind of just to wind down. She's on stage a lot. And
mm,
when she's on stage, people are being quite mean to her. And whether that's, the other ones, we are directed to be mean to her at the beginning and be like, ha, she doesn't know what she's doing. Or like the Phantoms flinging her around, or
yeah,
like the managers are
flirting with her.
shouting at her. Like, it's not, I, I think this is why a lot of people kind of align themselves with the Christines as a, like, she goes through a lot.
Yeah,
So yeah, they always
God.
kind of want to check in and make sure she's okay.
Yeah, and she's part of a vicious love triangle as well.
Yeah,
Vicious. It's a vicious love
yeah.
triangle. And it's funny because I've said this to Eve actually in our episode, and I grew up watching Phantom and Les Mis and all those big musicals in the West End and stuff. Just realized Phantom will be 40 next year.
Next year, turns out, yeah, yeah. I
Wow.
think it's like a year behind Les Mis. So Les
Yeah.
Mis had its 40th this year. Phantom will have it next year. Yeah.
Yeah, because Les Mis opened in 85 and Phantom opened in 86. So yeah,
Good knowledge. Nice. Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, but God, 40 years. Jesus. Yeah.
Yeah.
Les Mis
What a
40.
legacy.
I mean, if you had started a show, I mean, I can't imagine. I remember Karen McIntosh talking about. I don't think we would get through the first night of Les Mis at the barbecue in 1985
No.
because they got. Funny enough, I'll come back to the Phantom thing in just a second, but I remember him saying that. I think Michael Ball said this as well. They did the first night in '85, and they got the next day and they checked the reviews. I don't know if you read reviews of yourself or anything, but
Not myself, no.
no. Personally, in the future, I'm not going to do that. It's like they can make their own mind up. I'm happy with what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But it's they got the reviews, and the reviews were awful. Awful. They said it was dire. They said it was too sad. They said I think one title said "Tale of Le Gloom" or something like that. Basically,
Yeah.
a glum show, and they wrote it off immediately. And I thought, what, really? And it's like, and then suddenly, but somehow the audiences just kept coming back, and that's why it's power of audiences and not of critics.
Yeah.
And, it shows how. And I suppose Phantom kind of opened up to glorious reviews, and it's had an easy initiation into it. But Les Mis started off as getting slated by the critics, but now here we are, 40 years later. Still
I think this is
strong.
one of the tricky things with reviews being so easily accessible now. A lot of the time, people have read reviews before they go, and so you have that in your mind. You don't get to make up your own mind. I think that's a shame. But like you say, the power of the masses, the audiences want what they want.
Indeed, but no, but I'm speaking to Eve about Phantom actually. Then that triangle that Christine's part of. I grew up listening to. I love the song "Music of the Night." I just think it's one of the most beautiful songs I've ever heard. Yeah. When I was younger, I thought, oh, he's singing about music of the night, and he's trying to tell how much he loves her, that kind of thing. But now I'm like, hang on a minute, that song's about seduction.
Yeah,
it's about an older teacher seducing a much younger student. And Christine's how old is she technically in this thing? Like 17?
Technically, I want to say 16. Like she's young.
Jesus.
Yeah, a little problematic.
Just a tad.
I think there's something wonderful about being able to just understand that show on whatever level you're at. Like when you're younger, you're like, oh, it's just a nice song. She's falling asleep. Wonderful. It's only when you get older, you're like, oh, there are undertones here that are a little problematic. I know they speak about one thing they tried to do when they brought the show back after COVID. They wanted to instigate some changes. And so they've just kind of nudged some bits directorially and kind of giving Christine a bit more agency, and it's her choice where they can. It's still, it's still a bit problematic. It's still a bit of a manipulative storyline. But I don't know. Is there something about, because it's quite complex, is that what makes it so interesting? Is that why people keep coming back and have a deep love for it? I think there's something to say about, for me, the entire score is so layered emotionally. And for me, I think it's one of my favorite ways that Lord Lloyd Webber reuses musical themes throughout. I think it's so intelligent. There's a section, once Christine has sung, I could talk about this for hours. Once Christine has sung Wishing You Were Some. We've got time. We've got editing.
We've got
time, man. Once Christine has finished Wishing You Were Somehow Here Again.
Yes.
In my ensemble track, I was always waiting off stage to nip on for the fireman scene that happens after that. But there's a piece of music, I think it's just called The Mausoleum, and it is Phantom, Christine, and Raoul enters. And the reuse of the Angel of Music theme is just incredible, and the way it layers, and the way it builds, and the way it's and what each person is singing. The managers sections are also another just brilliant piece of writing. The whole first letters into Prima Donna, and second letters into Twisted Every Way used to be such a track skipper for me. I used to find them so boring. And actually, there's something about, because the show is so internationally known, that times of year you get a lot of tourists in, and English might not be their first language. You feel when you're doing the letters scenes, certain audiences just kind of being like, "What the hell is happening?" Because we're singing very quickly, we're singing over each other. It's a lot of information, and it's not exactly a hummable tune.
Not really.
But when in learning that material, I kind of got to appreciate its richness a lot more. And the way it's written is just incredible.
Yeah, because you have this, when you were Monsieur André, you guys have those songs where you're literally firing off at each other all the time. There's one in particular before the one you just mentioned there, before Raoul comes in and goes, "Where is she? I must die."
Letters.
That one. It's the latest one. Oh God, how does it go? I've forgotten.
Da, 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 da.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
it's written in 7/8 and like variations of 12/8 and like really
yeah.
complicated time signatures that keep on changing throughout.
But it's
Um,
isn't it?
from a very selfish standpoint, what I hadn't learned when I was learning the track, for people who don't know, so I learned, so when you start a show, you have a 4 week rehearsal period where I just learn everyone learns the first thing they're doing, the main reason they're there. I learned my ensemble track, and then once we'd opened, it was straight into, I think we had another 4 weeks understudy rehearsals where all the new understudies, along with some understudies who are remaining, you learn your other tracks. What I hadn't appreciated is for Monsieur André, the entire show is in four nice chunks, but they're more sustained chunks than my ensemble track, which was going on for a bit, coming off, changing, going on for a bit, coming off, changing. Andre doesn't leave stage area from when he enters letters all the way through apart from Monsieur Firmin who starts letters, he's on for the second most amount of the letter scene, all the way through Prima Donna, all the way through Il Muto, Il Muto Ballet, into Il Muto Panic. So Andre doesn't leave until just before All I Ask of You. And then he gets a nice longer interval. But I didn't that stamina for that long of a period to kind of sustain myself. I didn't have because my ensemble track didn't require it of me. So yeah, but I got there.
I mean, it's funny because I remember that phrase, like it goes bum, 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 and then it just has that tiny little pause. It goes PTO,
Yeah,
and then it goes. It's like Lloyd Webber goes. "Oh, I've got to give him a little break somewhere. What about? They're writing letters. Oh, wait, PTO, perfect, right?
yeah.
There you
There were
go.
some really wonderful quips in there, and like we spoke earlier about a grammar mix up that they didn't correct themselves. Like I think it's quite nice because it's where the entire score, it's where the show is mainly sung through with some scenes. Um, it's nice to humanize those songs instead of it just being these gorgeous lush melodies which are incredible. To have songs written that are more conversational, I think, I like a nice break for the ear and a nice break for the audience in terms of the pacing.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, those pieces of writing are incredible, and I think quite underrated within the realms of the show.
yeah, and I think it's cool. Like their characters and such. Right? In fact, just quickly had an image come into my head of like because there's. I remember speaking with Eve about a lot of people go from like Phantom to Les Mis or Les Mis to Phantom. It's like a little draft thing like they have in
Exchange.
America with like the NBA in America. Like there's a drafting system between the two.
Yeah.
I always imagine like someone coming into a Phantom rehearsal room just before a show or something and goes, "Do you hear the people?" Oh, sorry, wrong one.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because oh,
They're
sorry.
both very French. What can I tell you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Exactly. Yeah, they're both very French. Yeah, but there was but you look at like all these people, and I think I'm again asking people like about who play these big parts, like the Phantom or Christine, like in your case, Monsieur Andre. So who behind all the music? How did you find him? What is his drive? What is his motivation? Who is he?
For me, so in terms of what I actually did, I Adam Linstead, who plays the role, still plays the role. I wanted to leave him alone because he's been doing it for a really long time, and Adam does it incredibly. I am not Adam, and actually, Adam said to me quite early on. He said, I'm here if you have any questions, but you must find this your own way
Yeah,
and not do an impression of what I do. And I was like, yeah, cool, great, awesome.
exactly.
So I had his blessing, which was quite nice, and Matt Harrop, who was the first Fearman that I went on with, um, he is another a GSA alumni. There you go,
Oh,
full circle. We're everywhere.
we're
But
everywhere, guys. We're everywhere.
yeah, I, I, Adam had holiday, and so we knew I was going on with him quite quickly after I'd been rehearsed in. And he said, can I come and watch would you be comfortable with me watching your dress rehearsal so that I know what you do? And he was really lovely. He was like, okay, that's what you do. Great. And kind of they left me room and kind of just responded to what I was doing, which instead of giving me anything about like Adam normally does this, I didn't get that, which was really nice, and I'm very grateful for that generosity. Um, there is a I think it's a copy of a letter or a telegram of Hal Prince's notes, and it's I think it's the only one where he touches on the managers. It can't be the only one, but it's the one. It's the one that found its way to me through the second couple when I started, who was wonderful, Team Southgate. Again, very very generous in helping me figure out the technicalities of that track and when you wear gloves and when you don't wear gloves and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the exact wording, but it gives a really wonderful short, like 2-3 line description about André. And the overall idea being for him, he loves the novelty of theatre, of opera. That's all very exciting to him. And I suppose that's the bit that I tapped in to on a personal level. I still love theatre. I'm still very excited by it. And so that for me kind of became his driving force. There's the whole thing with the managers, they are business people. But I think for me, André also had tremendous heart, has tremendous heart. They kind of like to pair them up. Fearman is a bit more rough and a bit more steely. And so I kind of figured André, with his love for all things theatre, he gets swept up in the emotion of it. And so for me as well, there's a big, yeah, he kind of unravels throughout Act Two. The stresses of it all kind of weigh on him. Don't get me wrong, this is not the main story that people are watching. I'm very aware. It was just how I found a way in.
There are no small parts, only small acts.
Absolutely. But for me, watching, it's just my favourite thing to do. Watching the Christines sing Twisted. And for people who don't know what that is, at the end of the second manager's scene, there's a very short reprise of one of the themes in Prima Donna that comes back, and you just get to hear Christine's turmoil about this decision. Like, I think, what does she sing? Am I to risk my life to win the chance to live? And it's gut-wrenching, and it's so beautifully, simply staged. The rest of the people in the manager scene are just around her. She's on this chair, and she goes down stage right, she goes down stage left, she nearly faints. Like, it's very simple blocking, but every freaking Christine just tore your heart into pieces.
Yeah.
Doing it. Like, I think I watched about 6. Lily Cahoes, Paige Blankson, Chamise Stormford May, Eve Shannon Wilson, Colleen, Jess. 6, yeah. I'm really sorry if I've forgotten anyone. Oh, was there a time when a nuke? We had a nuke was a previous cover Christine, who then went to Les Mis, and one time had to come in and do it. But I don't think I was on as André when she had to do an emergency Christine. I think I was on as Ray. But I think I'm right in saying those were the 6 that I saw do.
Well
Twisted.
remembered.
Thank you. Although this is where we find out that I've missed about 3. But each one of them just tore your heart into pieces. It's just such a beautiful moment in the show.
Yeah.
And so for me, I think that's when, between that and the many stressful things that happen with, like, sets kind of collapsing and chandeliers crashing, I think for me, I think I enjoyed seeing how much André would be affected by that throughout the run of the second act.
Yeah.
So that the last thing, me and Adam had this conversation actually. So the last scene that the managers appear in the show is called the Don Juan Panic. So it's after Don Juan, more chaos has happened, and they're just screaming at each other. And a lot of it, like, for me, that was André just losing his mind. And me and Adam were like, what do you think he does afterwards? Like, does he just have a complete nervous breakdown? Does he flee the country? Like, so we had a really fun conversation about the possibilities of what André did after you don't see him anymore. Yeah, that was a lot of talking. I'm so sorry, but no. I hope I answered the question.
No. Bring it all, man. Bring it all. Talk as long as you want. That's what the podcasts are for. But I love like the depth of it, because you look at those two, André and is it Pierman? Is that how you say it? Fearman. Sorry. And just like you look at them, they're two like at their core, they're two businessmen. They've got a massive investment in this opera house. Ultimately, they're men of money. They want to put on a great show. They want to keep the opera house maintained, and ultimately, they want their pockets to be absolutely bulging with cash. Yeah. And that's their motivation, isn't it? To have money, and it's like they've won the lottery with this opera house in the middle of Paris, and they're going, wow, the elites sing here. The elites come here. They sit in the boxes, and then suddenly this guy called the Phantom just goes, "Excuse me, this is my house. What are you doing here?"
Rocks up. Yeah, absolutely.
And causes absolute chaos. And there's I love the thing. Have you seen the film, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's Kieran Hines and Simon Callow play. So Simon Callow plays Andre, doesn't he?
André.
Yeah, very well, in fact, very well. And I love how the two of them just captured that sense of like, this is our business. What the hell's going on? Who is this opera ghost? Because he signs the letters OG, doesn't he?
Yeah. I love the film. I think the film is such a good adaptation.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic.
I think it's wonderfully cast. I think, like you said, the
Brilliant.
two managers are particularly exciting in that. Yeah, no, I was obsessed with that film for a very long time.
I've watched it. I don't know how many times. I think it's brilliant. But I tell you what, it's funny because like Emmy Rossum, who plays Christine in the film, was in Skins for a long time. Was it Skins?
Oh, was she?
Was it Skins or something? What was it called? It was like an American version of Skins. Like she played
Right.
like this girl who was hooked on drugs, abusive parents, blah blah blah. I'm not sure what the name of the show is. Someone please correct me. But and then suddenly here she is playing Christine, and you're like, this is such a departure. And I'm like, wow, I know that girl can sing. But yeah,
Yeah.
I thought Jerry Butler was a great Phantom as well. I mean, I thought,
Yeah. Really delightfully rough and dangerous, and like you were genuinely terrified of him.
yeah,
I think it was Patrick Wilson who played Raoul. He was just charming.
Dawson, yeah.
Yeah, it was really wonderful ensemble cast.
Yeah, I love what you said there about this. Jerry had like this energy about him, like his voice was a bit. He had a nice raspy sort of quality to him.
Yeah.
Everything really showed you like this was a guy who'd been through the trenches. This was a guy, and it's funny. I said I'm going to mention Eve again. I'm going to name drop you so many times, Eve, if you're listening. And
She'll love it.
and so I remember saying to her, the character of the Phantom it's so sad. It's like he clothes literally his sadness, and then suddenly this girl, his student, comes on, Christine, and suddenly there's like she's his life force in a way. And when she, sorry, spoiler, ultimately rejects him at the end and goes off with Raoul, I can't imagine what that does to not only just the character but the actors playing them every night.
Yeah.
Was the Phantom the same? Was there a 6-show Phantom and then 2-show Phantom? What did he do?
No, Phantom does all of them.
All of them.
It changed. So when I joined, it was John Robbins, and then Dean Chisnell was the second year. John left at the end of my first year. Dean came in at my second year. And then the wonderful covers were James Gant, Michael Colborne, and Connor Ewing. And again, I got to see them all do it. And it was just incredible watching, like lots of room for interpretation, and how they all approached this very complex character. Seth, our wonderful, I forget his official title now, but he's kind of Mr. Phantom is what I call him. He was Hal Prince's right-hand man, and now that we unfortunately don't have the late great Hal Prince anymore, Seth wonderfully sustains Phantom productions across the world. But Seth, when you're learning the show, Seth says with no doubt that if any member of the audience is on Raoul's side by the end of the show, it's not worked. It's failed. The audience's heart should be breaking for Phantom. In spite of all the crazy things he does. And I think the way every single one of those actors handled that complexity was incredible. Like I was always Team Phantom. I was like, yeah, you're amazing, screw you out, like, from the wings. Yeah. And I knew how it was ending each night. It's just, I just think it's so wonderfully written. And like I said, I think kind of looping back to an earlier point, I think the complexity is what keeps people coming back.
Yeah, it's a wonderful show. It really is. And I just love the music. I love everything about it. I was going to say, like, because you're in it for 2 years, and some people say, oh, like some actors don't do more than 6 months because they get bored, or some people only do like a year, and after a year they're like, oh, get me the hell out of here, I can't do this anymore, I can't hear this fucking music anymore, I can't say these words anymore. But you did it for 2 years, and like you said just now, like you'd happily go back in a heartbeat. So how do you keep it fresh every night and for such a long time.
I so here's information is that it was my first West End show. It
Oh,
was my
there you
West End
go.
debut.
It's
Um,
excitement, isn't it? Yeah.
like yeah.
Yeah.
So like that first year, I think I was just high on adrenaline and good vibes, and I had a lot of people come to see it, and so that was very cool. Um, there's the thing is as well with West End theatre. My learning through Phantom is that because of the way that holiday works out and all that kind of stuff, it's constantly different. I don't think I ever saw two cover sheets consecutively the same 2 days in a row. There was always an adjustment. There was always, oh, this person was going on for this. I have to shout out every swing that I worked with. It changed quite a lot between my first year and my second year.
Yeah.
The swing teams, but each one of those is a supremely talented human being. And so it was always A, exciting, B, delightfully novel when they would just rock up in places and you'd be like, oh, hello. And I used to forget the cover sheets all the time. And so it wouldn't be until I'm going to do a bit with someone, I was like, oh, I forgot you're on. Lovely to see you.
Yes. Oh, hi.
Yeah. And that's before you get onto things like cut shows and split tracks and that madness, which also just makes it more exciting. The way my ensemble drag worked, there wasn't a whole lot of room for maneuver with what extra things I could take on or spacing I could do a little bit different. I think there were two bits, and every time those two landed, I was like, yes! Like it was nice to do something just slightly different. But as we know, as we love, theatre is always changing. The audiences were so different. The whoever's conducting, you kind of have to respond to them. There is plenty to keep you on your toes. So that's how I did 2 years. No, I think there was lots. There was so much about it. This is not to say I must disclaim this with. Of course, I got tired. Of course, I got grumpy. There's a siren. Sorry. I live on a very busy street. So of course I got tired. Of course I got grumpy. But now at the other end of those 2 years, like you say, I look to it like I would do it again.
Yeah. Suppose time flies when you're having fun, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I look back on it with great fondness. So yeah.
Yeah. Is there a part you want to play out of the main? So out of the main two that you've got, Phantom and Raoul, which one would you go for?
I could not do either of them. I really got very close to both of them, not in a weird way. Just I see them up close, and I did try on the Phantom makeup once. The wonderful
Of course, yeah.
team. They were always teaching new people, and they were looking for models. So I had the makeup done. That is not comfortable. That is not fun. Like I think I was in it for about an hour tops. So I was like, no, absolutely not. And on a 2-show day, Phantom is not allowed to get out of his makeup. It takes too long. So it's tough life for Phantom. I also don't think I could sing it. Like they were really exposed. Anytime there's a theme that goes da 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 da, but it's much higher. Hearing the Phantoms just do that and their voices soar, I would get the fear that my voice would crack in the middle of it. So they were always remarkable. The Rows, I look too old. They are all at least look a lot younger than I do and are very pretty. And all have the voices of angels. I'm not particularly drawn to either of them.
Yeah,
just for practical reasons. I think in terms of the story, I just find the Phantom a bit more interesting. I think his journey is a bit more complex.
Yeah.
But utmost respect to anyone who has played those roles and will go on to play those roles. I'm very happy rocking a backline ensemble.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, I couldn't. I don't think I could do Phantom. I tried singing Music of the Night once in its entirety, and it was like my voice just went no.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I can't go there. Can't go there. And I was like, okay, fine, fair enough.
That's
But
fine. I can make my peace with that.
yeah. No. Some parts you just know that you just physically can't do. I can't sing Phantom. It's too high. It's too high.
Yeah.
And I could sing a lower version of it, maybe a jazz version or something. But God, a jazz version of Music of the Night. How would that sound?
Hey, I'm sure someone has tried somewhere. But I also think,
A remix somewhere. Yeah.
yeah, what I find interesting when we talk about kind of the wider theme of casting and roles that we're attracted to and that kind of stuff. If there's any bit of it that doesn't sit for me, then I'm like, I'm not meant to do it. That's okay. That can be in my dream file, or if there's a roles I wish I could sing cabaret, I will bust out the songs then. That's fine.
Okay.
In
That's great.
terms of, I think I've learned a lot more about the sustainability of these long runs and where it needs to sit for me to be able to do it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, as Cabaret is a good show. Yeah, and I haven't seen it at I haven't been to the Kit Kat Club yet, which was the what was that theatre called?
Playhouse.
Playhouse. Yeah, well, it's now the Kit Kat Club because Cabaret went back there, and now it's done just superbly well,
Yeah.
and now that's like it's like His Majesty's Theatre for Phantom, Queen's Theatre for Les Mis, and now it's the Playhouse for Cabaret. But
Yeah.
all these other theatres like they chop and change shows all the time. You had wait a minute. Oh, sorry. You had Waiting for Godot at the Haymarket, and then you had all these other. So when you've got a theatre like that's its residence, then
Yeah.
that is. I mean, like we said, Phantom would have been there for 40 years next
Yeah.
year. 40 years. That's mad. Honestly, it's absolutely crazy. Yeah. But anyway, so you mentioned there about dream parts that so say like you could sing or do these parts. What's like on your to-do list or your wish list, do you think?
Oh, I mean, my to-do list. I'll give you my realistic one,
Yeah.
which is curated. Is there is the Andrew Lipper musical version. This is highly unlikely to happen. The Andrew Lipper musical version of Big Fish,
Hmm.
as it was done on Broadway with the incredible Norbo Elliott Butts playing both older Edward and younger Edward. Should that ever become a thing, in another life, I would love to do that. I'd love to take on that role. Um, yeah, just I think the concept of the story is beautiful, and all the sequences are incredible. So I'd love to do that. The one that I hope is a bit more within reach would be playing Monsieur Thénardier in Les Miserables.
Oh, that'd be brilliant.
Um, it's just a really fun, and again, it's a show that my family have revisited many times. So when my parents came to see me in Phantom, they said it was very weird having taken me to see it to then see me doing it, and I know that Les Mis would mean a lot to them as well.
Oh,
Um,
definitely. Yeah.
I also like the idea. So a lot of my earlier credits were workshops of new writing, and I think what we're seeing now with people making bold choices when they are reviving shows is really exciting. So I like the idea that the a dream role that I have is it hasn't been written yet, or will be a new take of something that I love. That would be very cool. I have no ideas for what it could be, but I really enjoyed the gender reversal of Bobby and Company. I thought that presented really interesting things. I'd actually probably make more making Amy Jamie. I thought was really exciting. Um, but if we're throwing realistic rule books out the windows, who do I want to be? Reno Sweeney in Anything Goes comes to mind. I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
that I saw Sutton Foster do it at the Barbican, and just like that's the one I would want to do.
yeah.
I think that's remarkable. I think Fanny Bryce in Bunny Girl again. Just there's a wonderful you get there was a concert that they did in America, a benefit concert where they had a different actress playing the role of Fanny Bryce at each chunk. And so you have like Julia Murney is singing People, and Lilia White is singing Don't Rain on My Parade. Carolee Carmelo is singing The Music That Makes Me Dance. I love that as a concept, like the idea that they all got to take their own chunk of it and make it their own.
Yeah.
Um, is there anyone? I mean, I'd love to fly. I'd love to be the green girl who flies, and I'm very excited for Wicked Part 2. So,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
yeah, I think just I think those big epic roles I think are quite exciting to me.
yeah,
Um, Ones that demand every aspect of you.
yeah,
Mama Rose, that's another one. Yeah, these big tour de force. Of course, they're all female roles, but these big tour de force roles, I think I just have a fascination with. I think they're also there is complexity in all of them. I think I recognize that as a theme,
mm,
and I think that intrigues me. I think going back to your question about how to sustain yourself through a longer role, the
yeah,
more complexity there is, I think there is the more to discover throughout a run,
yeah.
and that's quite fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. You know, I just reminded of what's it, the lead in Wicked. What's her name? The one with the one with the green face. Is it Elphaba?
Alphaba.
Elphaba, yeah. Do you know, that part is personally. Oh, I'm gonna offend a lot of people here. I'm not a fan of Wicked. I don't get it. I don't get Wicked at all. I don't understand it. But you know, but if you love Wicked, go for it. I'm not criticizing you at all. But it's just not my thing. But I have to say, there's one song in particular which I have to say is stunning in the show. You probably know what it is already. It's "Defying Gravity,"
Yeah.
and I have to say that song in particular, I was like, okay, okay, right, I can listen to that. I can listen to
And I
that.
tell you what, I think what they did with that sequence in the movie was remarkable.
Yeah.
I like I I will share this freely. I went to see it. I'd had a therapy session
Hmm.
in the morning, and so then went to see Wicked in the afternoon.
Hmm.
And in my therapy session, we had spoken about my relationship with my younger self. And so then what they do stunningly in the Defying Gravity sequence is you see grown up Elphaba's reflection of her younger self and kind of the choices she's making. And I sobbed. I was just an absolute mess at the back of that cinema. I was like, I just thought, I think what they've done with, I really, I quite enjoy the musical. I think again, the fact that it survived this long speaks to it being a story with themes that people relate to. And I think,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
that to a certain degree, you have to be driven by the audiences, and the fact that people still get something from that is very cool.
yeah,
But what they've done wonderfully with the film is just create a bit more space around the story beats, and I think it's better for it. It does make for quite a long film, 2 parts, in fact. But I I appreciate that we live in a world where we can have both.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. No, no, I mean, yeah, but if Wicked's your thing, then guys, then by all means go for it. But I'm just like, I don't get it. I don't like this show. It's just not me. It's not me. I can't. Have different strokes, different folks.
perfectly valid. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but yeah, of course, yeah, that's another long-standing one. That the Apollo in Victoria as well. You know,
Victoria.
that's going strong, going strong.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good, man. It's good. But God, I had another question there. It's just disappeared. Okay, no, I'll come back to me in a minute. But no, I feel like we could. I feel like we can just talk about just the love of theatre and stuff like just for ages. But you know, it's brilliant. But you know, I want to just quickly talk about some of your. You've actually done some shows of your own. You've done
Yeah.
the fringes. You've done everything. Yes. Tell me about your. I've got to ask about this one. Songs from the shower. What
I
is
was hoping you'd ask about that one.
in a good
I,
way or a bad way?
in a good way, I'm so
Okay.
proud of that.
Oh,
That
there you go.
was, I'd done, really early in my career, I did like a theatre and education tour around Italy.
Nice.
I want to say it was like 2013, 2014. Did I see any of Italy? No, I saw the inside of a tour van. But, early on in my career, it was a really great experience.
Yeah.
And I got back, and that had probably been the longest run that I'd done at that time. It was a couple of months with a lot of traveling. And so I specifically remember getting home and saying to Dad, I think I want a bit of a rest now. And then, again, I will name him Jamie Chapman Dixon, um, who we've continued to kind of life will just bring us together, and then we go separate ways and bring together. There's always love. There was appreciation for each other. He was running a what did they call it? Fringe on the Fringe season over the summer at what used to be, and I don't think it's still running anymore. It's such a shame. It was London Theatre Workshop in Fulham,
Hmm.
which was above a pub, and I forget what the pub was called, but it was a very good pub.
Yeah.
And he put a call out on Twitter back when that was a thing,
Yeah.
saying, "Hey, I'm running this festival. Does anyone have a show that they'd be interested in putting on?" And I'd been brewing this idea. I think it came from like, I love to sing in the shower. Genuinely, I think I do some of my best performances there. Um, and my I was living with my parents at the time. The running joke was if I released an album, it would be called Songs from the Shower. And so that just kind of just started to kind of bubble away as an idea for a show. And so Jamie did his post. I mentioned it to him. I said, "What do you think?" He was like, "I think it sounds great. Let's do it." And in my head, it was just going to be a park and bark, stand and sing moment. Fine. I got in touch with a writer friend called Claire Rivers, who I did my very first job out of drama school with her. And I've been very grateful for that relationship, which continues to do weird and wonderful things. I reached out to her and said, could we do this together? And she said, absolutely. And took it in this whole direction with this kind of set list that I'd given her about these are the songs I think we should include. And then she directed it, and it became this bigger metaphor with a bigger message. I think one of the things that I find quite satisfying about doing one-man shows like that is that it usually speaks to who I am then in that moment. And so then looking back, and ones that I do going forward, that it almost reads like a little autobiography if you piece them all together.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we did it one night because we were, not to brag, the first to sell out. I got another night in that summer, absolute win. And then we got invited back to do it for a week's run, and we had some guests. We had amazing Jodie Steele, Sam Buttery, Tom Reed Wilson, Tim McArthur. Tim McArthur was the other guest.
Yeah.
So we did a little run then. That was very cool. And then Claire and I took it to the Guildford Fringe when Nick Wishner similarly kind of put a call out, and we were like, "Oh, let's air this again." And then weirdly, I did a recital recently and revisited some of the songs, and I had to lower the keys because I'm old, but it was really fun to kind of revisit that me. I think I was 22, 23, and kind of revisit what 22, 23-year-old Sam was trying to make sense of in the world. So yeah, that started the audacity for me being like, I can do shows. So then I did one called L is 4 at what used to be Above the Arts Theatre. I keep on saying what used to be. Let's be clear. I didn't close these venues. It wasn't my fault. And then, was there another one? Wishlist. I feel like there was one in between Wishlist and L is 4, but I can't remember it. Which clearly means it wasn't that impactful if I did. Wishlist was the main reason for that was, like you say, I ran the marathon for Make-A-Wish, and so it was really a fundraiser for that. But that kind of got me to reflect on, okay, so what is it that I want now for myself and for those around me? And so that was very cool. Yeah, and now I have this little. I'm kind of toying with the idea of doing another one next year, just depending on how work diaries kind of pan out. I suppose now at a time when I'm looking towards getting married next October and can kind of acknowledge I'm a very different person now. So I think there's something around, what are the lessons? What do I know now? What do I hope to know more about in the future?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice one. Yeah. I mean, what's it like taking because I imagine like when it's your own work and then you're presenting it to an audience for the first time. I don't mean to bring up bad memories for you or anything, but like I suppose the nerves before you present your own stuff. I mean, is that a fun experience, or is it kind of scary at the same time?
I'd imagine not having given birth to a child is probably similar. Like you forget the anxiety and the craziness around it. I have become aware. Again, interesting things to chart. It's become harder as I've gotten older. I don't know what that is about. I suppose part of me still doing them, I'm like, no, I will combat this. It takes more preparation, it takes more rehearsal. I don't always get as much as I'd like. Fortunately, the audiences always feel very supportive and responsive. We spoke, I think it was before, about your team around you, and they're kind of always delightfully. Like I say, Claire Rivers has really been a key player and holds my hand. And we know each other long enough now that she kind of can sense where I'm heading and what we need to support, I suppose. Yeah. The nerves are hardcore, but I also suppose I think it's something about making myself vulnerable. And I think for me it feels important to keep on doing that. Yeah. So it's not easy, but for some reason I keep on going back. So
that's a sign, isn't it? Just keep all that stuff. Yeah. It's I got to ask you about, just very quickly. I want to talk about some of the community stuff with Mildred in just a second.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about the tours, specifically the Scandinavian tour of Greece and the Korean one of School of Rock. How did they go?
So the Greece one we need to talk about because it is my friend's favorite credit. I um it was on a ship. It was between Helsinki and Stockholm. But I don't feel like I can kind of say on a cruise line because that gives impressions of the Marvelous Royal Caribbean one that I believe is a bigger production than what we had. But the Silja line basically goes between Helsinki and Stockholm as a booze cruise, and we
Yeah.
did a shortened version of Greece. I think we did it twice nightly or something like that. And I played Teen Angel and Vince Fontaine. It was
Mhm.
fun. It was wild. It was an early job. It was hard in terms of like I mean it wasn't really a ship. It was more of like a ferry. But there was lots about the kind of that lifestyle that was tricky. Um, but that being said, any job where you're not having to pay for food, you're not having to pay for rent, and was getting paid pretty decently.
Mm.
Um, it's life is not that hard. So yeah, it was fun. It was a really fun job to do. Um, Grease, I struggle with as a show. I think I have similar feelings to it that you do for Wicked.
Mhm.
Um, Especially when you're off stage doing backing vocals, you're like, these aren't real words. What's happening? But again, who am I to argue with this show that has such a long history and a film
Yeah,
version that's incredibly popular?
yeah, yeah.
Um, so kind of, I suppose, offering that nostalgia and that entertainment for the drunks on the Celia line was really fun. It was a very fun experience.
Yeah.
Um, and then School of Rock Korea was one of my favorite jobs that I've ever done. That was my first commercial show. We were in Korea for 5 months. It was so international. So the kids in the show were Australian. Our local crew were Korean. We had people from the Broadway production on the creative team, from the Australian production on the production team. Like there was a real international effort. Um, Oh, and our leads were American. That's our two Deweys, and again another role that has an alternate. They're American. It was absolutely incredible, and what the wonderful Patrick, who was part of the original Broadway company, and I think he's now, he's kind of he's Mr. School of Rock. He does a lot on the productions on it across the world. He made it feel like we were inventing it for the first time, and that was really cool.
Yeah.
South Korea is the most beautiful country. I cannot recommend it enough, and I'm really
Really?
grateful to it for that job because I wouldn't have probably gone had it not been for that job.
Yeah.
Um, but it was so cool, and that opened the door for me getting the UK tour straight out of COVID. Um, what I've learned through School of Rock and Phantom, there's something really nice about being part of a big commercial show like those because you become almost part of this exclusive international club where, I am one of the people that knows those shows and has been in those shows. And you kind of all have a shared dialogue and a shared experience. And yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds cool. I mean, just doing. It sounds like you're taking a show like to another country. You feel like, oh, it's huge here. How's it going to be received over here? Are they going to like it and stuff? But one thing you forget is that these films, Grease and School of Rock, they go everywhere. They're universal,
Yeah.
and everyone knows. And it's just the power that some of these films have and shows. We've talked a lot about the power of shows today. And how
Yeah.
audiences really grasp them by the hands and just go like, we really love this material.
Yeah.
School of Rock was, I'm transported straight back to my childhood at that point. I'm just like, that show came out at a time when I was in school and everything. That's what we used to talk about before we had the phones and all that stuff.
Yes.
It's, in Greece, there's a cinema near me called the Odyssey, and it's one of those kind of like independent cinemas, it's boutique and stuff. And then,
Amazing.
yeah, some of those, sometimes they have sing-along versions of
Yes.
like Mamma Mia or Grease, or I think they might have one for Wicked as well. I'm not sure,
Incredible.
but and Grease attracted a lot of people, and particularly the end when they have that song. Say, you're the one that I want, that one, and then
Yeah.
yeah, everyone's coming in probably two bottles of wine deep before they get to the cinema, then have
Love that for them.
two more bottles of wine and maybe a cheese board or something later on. And then by
Yes.
the end of that, staff actually had to run down to the stage because people were getting up on stage and just
Exceptional.
trying to like where's taking away? And they're like, please get off the stage, madam. Get off the stage. It's a health risk. You don't fall down. You've had a lot to drink as well.
Yeah.
But it's fun. It's always good fun. But but those shows like the universality of material. I mean, it's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, and I don't think you fully appreciate it until you're performing it and you see the response. Like that's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and people just love it. Like, who are we to argue with that? If that's what people want, let them have it. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think that's a good segue into, I've got to get this in, is that you are now also part of a online community, or as well as physical community as well, driven by the fantastic Mildred Ewan, who's been on here twice. Big shout out to Mildred, an amazing agent as well as person. And she's adopted this new thing called this Superpower Hour. Hopefully I'm getting that right.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, which yourself and Mildred sort of have kind of weekly Zooms and stuff about people wanting advice about the industry, the growth of AI in the industry and everything. Just you can ask all kinds of questions. So I'll put a link to that down below as well. If anyone wants to sign up. So so tell me about this kind of conversation, because it's a relatively new thing which you've got now. So what kind of conversations have you had so far? What kind of stories?
Oh my goodness. So much. So the idea of it being the superpower community comes from a workshop series that Mildred runs, which is, I suppose, like it is about identifying your superpower. What is your unique thing that you can do that is going to drive you through the industry? In terms of the more regular community workshops that we do, that is the power hours. Let's get together and what are we bringing? What are we struggling with in the industry at the moment? What are we struggling with on a personal level at the moment? Questions have raised from people wanting help applying for representation to thinking about how do they need to promote their next project? What kind of casting should they be going for? How can they get seen for certain castings that they feel like they're right for? And I suppose I really respect Mildred. Mildred is such a big player in my life, and we haven't got time, but there is a whole other podcast episode there about my relationship with that fantastic woman and everything she's taught me. But I really respect her passion for wanting to make a difference to people, not from an industry perspective, from a life perspective, and breaking down what are perceived barriers in this industry. We spoke earlier about, I think you go to drama school and you're trained and you focus on yourself and your art and what you do well and that kind of stuff. And that's great. But the bit that's missed out is the fact that this is a really generous industry. Some of my nearest and dearest are people within this industry that I'm alongside. My family and friends outside the industry are great. They're incredible. They are very supportive, but there is something about a shared experience and a shared knowledge within the industry that is a unique kind of support that I think we all need. And so Mildred's created that space to get it from people at all stages of their career. We've got people at the very beginnings, people who are more established. And I think it's quite comforting to know that everyone still has questions, everyone still has issues they face, everyone will hit different crossroads at different times. And we all have value to give to each other in advice, in perspective, in expertise, in knowledge. So I'm very grateful for that space. I learn, and it's not even about me. Like, I'm there to facilitate. So I'm very privileged that I just get to witness some of those conversations that are incredible and inspiring.
Yeah. I mean, it's good. I want one thing that I really like what you talked about earlier as well was that it is a generous community out there, and and I feel like a lot of people think, oh, as soon as you leave drama school, or you're in the industry, it's all a competition, and it is a competitive industry. Let's have it right. But everyone's people want to see you fail. People want to see you not do well. It's like, oh, can you help me with this self-tape? Oh, I'm busy. I'm sorry, I can't help you. And it's and you think, oh, is it all just a bit toxic out there? And actually, one thing I've learned as well is that no, it's not. It's not. There's a lot of people out there who would love to help you, and and just to hear your stories and be generous enough to give you their time and listen to you and stuff like that. We spoke off air about I had to help a friend out who does self tapes, but the way he does it is that he records his scene partner and then edits that audio into the self tape. which is how he does it, and that works for him, and fantastic. And he was like, "Mate, can you just send me it over in a voice note, and I'll do the rest." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, sure." Literally just 5 minutes, recorded all the lines, and sent them over to him. I was like, "No problem at all," And anyone else wants to do that for anyone, I think, shows that it's a there are people out there who want to help you, and
Yeah.
don't be scared of the business. I think is that something you've been talking about as well?
Yeah, totally. Oh my goodness. Like, oh, there's so much there to unpack. I think just this idea that we all live as solos is incorrect.
Mm,
Um, Mildred talks a lot about networking. Networking is a word that I've kind of really struggled with because I think some people interpret it wrong. I think some people think it's the idea that you only get a job with who you know and that kind of stuff. But for me, the idea of networking is creating relationships, sustaining them,
exactly.
ones that excite you, um, and ones that you both add value to those. Um, yeah, yeah. We touched on everything you said. Yeah, supporting each other all the way through. Um, the idea of it being a business. And so, there is room for the business aspect and the personal aspect. It's important to keep them separate, but inevitably they do bounce off each other and they will affect each other. Um, so it's important to have a space to kind of be able to process them as they exist together and then separate them and figure out how you can take each side of that in a direction that you want to. Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose like from the vibe or the feel or the conversations you have so far, maybe what do you feel like the collective feeling of this business is right now? Like, are people happy? Are they a bit in limbo? Like, what's the feeling that you've got from the conversations, the vibe you're getting right now?
It's tricky. And I would be lying if I said if it was anything else. I see that, when you think about, we all like to think of COVID as a real distant memory, and now the writer strikes is a real distant memory, but we are seeing the knock on effect. We are still experiencing the fallouts from these.
Yeah,
Cost
fortunately.
of living crisis, there's so much that, and I do think without getting too political, we need to watch America really carefully because not, politics aside, decisions that are made in that big White House have a huge impact on a huge country and will therefore dictate the direction of so many things. I suppose this is what I also kind of discovered. I discovered this quite early on about this industry doesn't exist in isolation either. It's impacted by politics. It's impacted by socioeconomics. So it is important to watch. And I think when you look at everything the world has been through the past 5, 10 years alone,
Mm,
it's been turbulent. So I think we can understand why the industry may feel turbulent as well. Um, One of my favorite, there's a poem where it talks about, it gives you the image of a boat and going through choppy seas and the idea that if you're the boat, you can't control the choppy seas. You can only control how your sail is set and the direction that you're moving in and making sure that you're equipped to survive the choppy seas as best as you can. So I suppose what I'm seeing is a lot of people, you got to focus on your own boat and not be scared by the wild winds and the splashy seas and all that kind of crazy chaos that it may feel like is happening out there. This is the time to focus on ourselves, and on each other as well. You support each other in that way. I've got an extra lifeboat. Would you like one, for example? But this is the time to kind of really, I suppose, gird our loins, um, and make sure that we have enough in place to sustain ourselves, not only with regards to the industry, yes, but wider life as well. Um, because I think my one of my big reflections over the most recent years has been to keep the sense of identity and who we are, not only with regards to our relationship with the industry. Remember that we are fully whole, whether we're on stage or not. I am an actor, whether I'm on stage or not. That is a part of my personality,
yeah.
and a part of my identity. So, really honing those characteristics and identities that make up the fantastic humans that we all are, I just think sets us up for success.
Mm. Yeah, it shows that like everything you're saying there about steering your ship. It's all about the mindset, isn't it? And
Yeah,
it's very, it's very easy, and I've seen it happen to get bogged down thinking, oh, it's never going to happen, all that stuff. But if you keep telling yourself that, then I think there's a good quote. I can't remember who said it, but whether you believe in tell yourself you can do it or whether you can't do it, you're right. And
yeah,
always tell yourself you can do it. That's something I've learned over the last couple of years. Always believe that you can do it and everything's working out exactly for you. It may not look like it, you can't see the results yet, but they're on their way,
yeah,
and just keep pushing forward all the time with that mentality to say it's gonna work out.
yeah.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. Yeah.
You've got to be your own biggest advocate and you've got to be your own biggest cheerleader. Like if you don't believe in you, then no one's going to. And I say this in life, not just in terms of the industry. I also think there's a step there about you do the industry for as long as you want to. If the second it doesn't sit right with you, stop. You don't have to prove anything. You don't, listen to your own intuition and your instincts on that. Um, yeah, yeah. I think I've learned a lot about there's a lot that I can do within the industry instead of it just being done to me, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
Taking a bit more ownership, taking a bit more responsibility for it. And I also think there's something to be said for we are society is only training us to believe that things should come quicker. Um,
Mm.
you know, grocery deliveries and everything is now at our fingertips. Um, what we miss is the things that take time, and the elements in life that we can't control. Um, I did a wonderful interview with Spotlight when I got cast in Phantom, and I that led to a social media post that a lot of people responded to, where I kind of said, I didn't get my West End debut until 12 years after I graduated.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people think that might be too long, and that's fine, that's okay. But for me, it's not being so result orientated. It was never about getting a West End debut, which has been this big mark of success that people in the industry kind of view it as cool. Um, but it was about kind of going along and enjoying the journey. And now that I'm at the other side of it, I get to enjoy whatever's next on the journey. That wasn't an end destination by any means.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm enjoying strapping in for the long haul
Yeah. Yeah.
and seeing where I'll go next.
Yeah. It's a cliche, and I'm sure I've said this before on here, but it's a marathon, not a sprint,
Yeah.
always. And it's sometimes these things just take time. I think I've also said this before in another episode, but do you know who Simon Sinek is?
Yeah, he's an author. Author?
Yeah, it's Start With Why, that book.
Yes. So because I have read Miranda Hart's I Haven't Been Entirely Honest With You, which I must recommend to everyone just in terms of life lessons.
Oh yes, Miranda. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, she uses her diagnosis with Lyme disease as a kind of vehicle to share life lessons that she learned throughout her diagnosis. But she references Simon. Sorry, I detracted from your point. You were
No,
saying?
no, 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 not at all, not at all. No, Simon Sinek gave this speech to I think it was like a life motivation. It's like a platform on YouTube. Excuse me, about just he talks about some of his like experience with millennials, as he calls them. So people who are born after nine, I don't know what thing is, but basically born like in mid 1990s or whatever. And he always makes the point of saying like nowadays, and it's a fantastic speech. I can't recommend it enough. And he talks about how like we live in a world now of instant gratification. And it's like and he listed off all these things. He goes like you want to go on a date now, you don't have to learn how to be like, hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
You go on your phone, swipe right, bang, I'm a stud. I'm a stud.
Yeah.
You log on to Amazon, it arrives the next day. You go on Netflix, you want to watch a film, it's there right away. But what doesn't come quickly is like you can have. I remember him saying this. He goes, instant gratification, except job satisfaction and strength of relationships. There's no app for that.
Yeah.
So what particularly? He was looking at my industry. I think everyone, I think in this business right now, he says. So what these kids have to learn right now is patience. Is that these things, strength of relationships, job satisfaction, they're uncomfortable, messy processes. But if you stick at it, then that's when the beauty happens. And
Absolutely.
he used this other analogy. He said, I sit down with these wonderful kids and they're in the entry level job. And I said, how's it going? I think I'm going to give it up. I'm like, why? He's like, because I'm not making an impact. I said, you've been here 8 months, so
Yeah.
it's not gonna happen in 8 months or a year or 2 years, 3 years. Or it might, who knows? You never say never in this thing, but just it's taught since drama school. I left GSA 3 years ago, so it's taught me how just to keep going and keep making your own work. And I'm lucky to have this channel, and just to keep going to the theater and just keep watching stuff, and just keep the bug alive and keep talking to
Yeah.
great people. Keep talking to great people like yourself and everyone who's been on here, and yeah. It's like you say, I'm with you, man. I'm strapping myself in for the long haul. So yeah.
We love to see it.
Let's go, man. Let's go.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Sam, this has been so much fun, man. Thank you so much for your time today. I really do
Thank you
appreciate
for
it.
having me. It's been a joy.
Yeah, been absolutely amazing. I'd love to talk to you more about the Irish dancing and everything, but I think so promise me, like, if we're ever in an Irish pub or anything sometime, you just give me like a little snippet, just show me like a little bit of it.
Deal. Absolutely.
I love it, man. It's great. I've just got two more questions left for you today. So I've last two
Sure.
questions for every guest, so sort of quick fire ones. First of all, what would you say was a bit of advice you wish you heard when you were starting out?
Oh, I know it's supposed to be quick fire.
No, it's okay. Just take your time if you want.
I think going. I said it already, but I think you have to be your biggest advocate
Yeah.
in life. If you're not in your corner, you can't get other people in there either. Um, yeah, definitely that. And actually, my big one in terms of earlier in my career, stop skidding into auditions not as prepared as you should be and thinking it's cute. Like I think we see this. There's this image of the bohemian life of an actor where you go straight from a waitering shift and you do an audition on your lunch break and then you go back and that kind of stuff. No, stop it. Like that only exists in the movies. You're not going to
Yeah.
set yourself up for success. So I suppose that the shorter version of that would be set yourself up for success. I suppose that comes back to being in your own corner. Yeah, they link. But
Yeah.
that when I look back on my early career, I'm like, there were a lot of times I just went skidding in and like of course didn't do my best. So yeah,
Hey, don't worry, you're not alone. You're not the only one to go through that.
we learn.
We learn. One minute. Sometimes we learn the hard way. And we walk out
Yeah.
like, oh God. Yeah. Yeah. I talked about drama school auditions with someone called Kimberly Ford recently, and just like you walk out of that audition, you go along and you think, do you know what? This is my third year trying for this now. I think this year this is going to be my year this year.
Yeah.
And then you get to the end, you get to your last audition, whichever school it is, and they say, "Oh, thanks very much, but we won't need you to come back anymore." And you walk out there thinking, "Holy shit!" It's. And I'm not saying that to be negative or anything, but it's shows you that you stick at it, and more than anything,
Yeah.
yeah, I know some people who applied 5, 6, 7 times to get into drama school, and eventually they
Yeah.
did, and some people didn't go to drama school until they were 29 or 30, and there's no expiry date. No expiry
No,
date
I
at
think
all.
it's wonderful. Like you
Yeah,
get such a richer life.
yeah, and life experience as well. It's always good
Yeah.
fun. Yeah, but then again, if you do get in at 18, which I know you did, and many other people did as well, then that's equally, yeah, you're making a lot of people jealous. A lot.
Just go blindly. And so I think there's something to be said for youthful ignorance. Like I remember again, I think in terms of things that I miss from the earlier version of me in my career is just the I can just going in, just kind of not second guessing as much. So I
Yeah.
think there's lessons everywhere along the way.
Yeah, actually, I've just got just one additional question there, if you don't mind.
Of course.
Yeah, if it's all right to ask this, you like I say, you got into drama school at 18, and
Yeah.
if there is anyone watching or listening to this right now who is 18 and has confirmed their place at drama school we speak in October now, so if you are 18, currently at drama school right now, or 18 next year going to drama school, yeah, what advice would you give to them?
Take a deep breath, calm down, listen. If you're living away from home, get your basic life survivals.
Hmm.
Figure out how to do your laundry. Figure out how to cook.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, and just be really gentle with yourself. Maybe consider going a little bit slower than everyone else, and just take your time. Um, because without meaning to condescend, at 18, you're still making sense of yourself. I'm 34 and still making sense of myself.
Oh yeah.
But I think I definitely pressure myself with, well, I must have all the answers. And instead of at drama school, you're there to learn. So just learn what you can.
Yeah.
Not every lesson is learnt overnight. But just listen and be really, really gentle with yourself. Make sure you're getting enough sleep. Make sure you're eating healthily. Um, and don't take life too seriously.
Yeah.
I think that's what I'd say.
Brilliant. Yeah. Anyone who's at 18 at drama school right now or next year or whenever this episode finds you, yeah, that's for you there, guys. Yeah. And I think another one is just, I like what you said there about, I felt like I fell into that trap of like having to know everything. Like I remember when I left school at 18 thinking I've learned everything I need to learn. I don't need any more life lessons. I'm 18.
Yeah.
I'm an adult now. I know everything about the world and what's in it. When I got to university and I was like, I had no fucking clue.
No, absolutely. But I have a whole other rant here, but this is the British
Go ahead,
education
go.
system. It's the British education. I think the educational system's probably around the world. Like we just impart knowledge. And the idea is that, the bit that's missing is the idea that we keep on learning and not being scared to say, I don't know, and find out the answer. And there might not be an answer, and that's okay. But then, you change tack slightly, and maybe you change the question, and maybe you change the approach. There's always more to learn. And I think that's something that misses in early years, which is unfortunate. But if you can learn that lesson early, then I think you're setting yourself up for success.
Yeah, exactly. It's like be a tortoise, not a hare.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny how you look back on all these childhood stories and they actually had huge, deep meaning in there. But you're a kid, you're just like, oh, that's a nice story. And then after that, and then when you hit like your 20s or something, you go, holy shit, that was actually a really good lesson.
Yeah, maybe I was being told these lessons and I just didn't listen.
No, mate, you're not alone on that one, mate. You're not alone on that one. Absolutely. So yeah, keep going with that, guys. Keep sticking at it. And finally today, what would you say has been an experience or experiences you've had in your career up to now that you'll never, ever forget?
Getting into drama school. I'm gonna start off with an obvious one,
Yeah,
which would be getting Phantom of the Opera
of course.
and opening night of Phantom of the Opera and closing night of Phantom of the Opera. That entire
Experience.
adventure, yeah, absolutely. But then I want to go back to I did a production of Top Hat at Upstairs at the Gatehouse, and it was so joyous. And you're all there because you love it. I laughed so hard in that dressing room. I will share this. I lost my nan whilst I was in tech for that show.
I'm sorry.
No, she lived a long and wonderful life, and this was years ago now. But I remember I received a message from my dad, and fell to pieces a little bit, and everyone. Oh, I'm going to get emotional. Everyone was there to pick me up and dust me off, and just rallied around, and I was given space and just everything I needed. And then I remember throughout that run, I got really sick. So at one point they created a bit under one of the stages where I could nap, just that entire experience. Everyone, I suppose this kind of fits with one of our running themes. Everyone was there to take care of each other. And I'm not saying I'm the only person that went through difficulties there. Everyone, in the same way that everyone rallied around me, it then became my turn to rally around everyone else. And I remember the lyrics to Let's Face the Music and Dance, where it says, there may be teardrops to shed, but while there's music, I can't remember the other, but while there's moonlight and music and love and romance, let's face the music and dance. And, I think that sums it all up for me. So, yeah.
Beautiful. That's beautiful, man. Yeah. Well, I'm stating the obvious here, but I'm sure she's incredibly proud of everything that you've done and everything. And she's looking down on you now with a big smile on her face. And sure she loves you very much, man. So
Thank you very much.
yeah, you've done her more than proud. More than proud. Sam, thank you so much again. This has been an amazing chat. I mean, I talk about Phantom again and talk about your own stuff and everything. You know, it's been a real honor. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's been a joy. Thank you for having me.
No, it's been great. And also, oh, sorry, just one last thing. For anyone who's the superpower hours, like I say, links are below. They're free Zooms every sort of couple of weeks. But there is a Patreon if you want to.
The free Zooms are if you join the Patreon. So they're
see,
included
sorry.
in your membership. I didn't want to mess up the advertising there.
No,
Yeah, but
no. Thank you for that. Sorry, I didn't know.
you're
So,
so welcome. Yeah.
yeah, it's cool. So yeah, there's a Patreon down below, and sign up for that. It's a monthly subscription, and you get free Zooms as part of that as well, and you build a community together. So if you want to do that, to go and sign up. So yeah, Sam, this has been great. So hang on, I'll finish the recording. We'll have a tiny debrief that you can shoot off back to your Sunday, and yeah. Brilliant stuff. Guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. This has been the Uncensored Critic podcast, and I'll be back very, very soon. And Sam Haughton, did I say that right again? Haughton?
Haughton, but you're fine.
Haughton.
It's all good.
Anyway, Sam, thank you, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.